should be sending data to the main channel now. I'm going to say goodbye to everyone watching over on Akalon TV. You guys are more than welcome to come join on the main channel if you want to come check out the Barrens Chat special. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. Thank you. To all of the Twitch viewers, we'll still be here. So you guys can just chill on Twitch. This is a Barrens Chat special, so it's not like the Friday Barrens Chat where it's exclusively to YouTube. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. To the Akalon TV viewers and to everyone on Akalon, how you guys doing? Welcome back to each and every one of you. Very happy to have you here, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that we are live at the moment, but we'll see in a minute if we are or are not. I'm logging over now to the main channel so I can see what's going on there. Sorry, we've been streaming for about 5.5 hours over on Twitch, so I'm only just now making it live on the main channel. Go live. Go. God of War, how you doing, brother? Welcome. All right. We're a little bit early, but it is what it is. Okay, cheating on us with the Twitch viewers. Trickle, I apologize for that. But this is a Barrens Chat special, so the same rules do not apply. This Friday, we'll be right back to our regular scheduled programming, which of course will just be us hanging out, as is the case pretty much every Friday. Merricos, welcome to the main channel. Really appreciate you all. I am live over on Twitch as well, for those of you that want to stick to Twitch and, too lazy to move or whatever. Do you guys think we are getting a new cinematic today? We should, right? Alpha Sigma, how you doing, brother? Venerale, you think so? 5X Aldino, how you doing, brother? We're staying here? Yeah, Grofel, we're staying right here. I hope so. It'd be a major L for Blizzard if they don't. I want a new one, of course. Hope you're doing good, bro. And either today or Friday, methinks. I don't think it will be Friday. Blizzard sort of have always had these cinematics on reset day for America, obviously not for Europe. So I would suspect that it would make sense if they released it right now. The last one was released around 7 o'clock on Tuesday last week. So that's the only reason I set this Barrens Chat special for 6:30. Because I'm hoping that it will be today as well. I'm basically going to be doing this, by the way, from now on. You'll get the Barrens Chat specials throughout the week. Whenever I think there's going to be a cinematic. Whenever I see Blizzard teasing cinematics or big news, we'll do the Barrens Chat specials on the main channel. Just so that we can react to it live. So I want to see that the War Within login change. We will get a new cinematic, I'm sure of it, because I want to see the Arathi story. You see, this is the question now. If we are getting a new cinematic, and that's a big if, but still, which one? Emily, how you doing? Retail is down until 6 p.m. EST in the USA. I hate you. Not you specifically, but all of you American fucks that get the game before me. I hate you. But yeah, I heard it's like crazy fucking maintenance that's being done. Which is insane. Apparently 10 hours down for maintenance? That's nuts. Dude, I could go, I think, if you ask me, I know exactly who it's going to be about. I know exactly who it's going to be about. It's going to be about Faerun. At least one of them will be about Faerun. And then, most likely, another one will be about Anduin. That's my guess, because we already know that Faerun and Anduin are big characters in the next one, and I thought that it would be Xal'atath. The problem with Xal'atath is if there's not much that they can reveal in an animatic about Xal'atath that wouldn't just spoil her story, right? So, yeah, I don't know if Blizzard would do that. Possible to see Anduin? Yeah, I think Anduin makes sense. Issue is done for 10 hours. They're probably replacing some software services and need to make sure all the tests pass during the replacement. Carl P, how you doing, brother? I can see that. They have to make sure everything that was in beta is now in retail. Typical pre-expansion patch day stuff. Her and Anduin will have a kid in the future. Titan Reborn, I thought we were all in agreement that Anduin is gonna marry, what's her name again? Four Dragon? Fuck, man. Bolvar's daughter. Her name escapes me now. Talia, that's the one. Talia Four Dragon. I thought we were all in agreement that that's who Anduin's marrying, no? Or is that changed now? Might as well play beta or classic WoW until retail is up. Nah. I don't have beta access first and foremost. And I wouldn't play beta, even if I had access to it. I did that for Shadowland. I did that for Legion. And I did it for BFA. And I can say with all honesty, nothing ruined the game for me more than playing beta. Nothing ruined the game for me more. It's just, there's something magical about logging in on that first day of the expansion and everything's fucking new. You know, everything's new. You're experiencing with everyone else. You're seeing trade chat and general chat and people are freaking out about how good it is and all the good shit that's happening. And then you've played the beta for the last 3 months or some shit. And none of this is new for you. You're seeing people freak out and like, oh, yawn. Let's just move on. Yeah, all right. Sorry. I should say, if you're one of the peasants, you'll be playing it on day 4. If you're one of the rich folks that, took out the money, you'll be playing it on the day of launch. So congratulations to you. But the poor people have to wait a little bit longer. Because their night day already knowing and is not as good as people thinking. Beta, to be honest, and ready for Mythic Guilds to get jumpstart on World First. Is this the first time Blizzard did this? Yes. Well, to be quite frank, I'm not sure if it's the first time that this has ever happened, but I do think this is one of the first times that we've ever had early access not be tied to pre-purchase, but be tied to the more expensive versions of the game. Almost no one does that. Companies will have early access for pre-purchase bonuses. The fact that it's tied to the more expensive version of the game is why I refuse to buy it. It's why I will not be playing early. I just absolutely refuse. I don't like the practice because I think as a practice it's incredibly fucked. Because effectively you are forcing people to buy the more expensive version if you want to get the game. The same time as everyone else. And I think we've discussed this in previous Barrens chats. I think it harms the experience overall of an MMO. An MMO is about that shared experience, and you're removing the shared experience with doing it this way. But that's just my opinion. Maybe some people don't really care. I will never buy a digital game in pre-sale. Well, it depends. I will buy. I'm gonna buy the World of Warcraft expansion probably this week sometime. So I will pre-purchase. I have no problem with pre-purchasing things or even like pre-order technically. I have no problem with pre-orders for certain games like World of Warcraft. I'm always going to pre-order World of Warcraft because I'm always going to fucking play World of Warcraft. Even when I'm not that happy with WoW, I still play it. So I'm still gonna play it. But I wouldn't do it for games that I'm not sure about. That's for damn sure. Sorry guys, I've already been live for 6 hours almost, so you're not getting crisp awake echo, you're getting half asleep echo. And here I am again for one stream to another. Michael, happy to have you here, fam. I only pre-order when I know I'm buying something, regardless of anything. I'm glad you're getting, you're getting a more story-driven single-player experience? Oh, I hope we're getting that. Only do that with WoW. It's got a chokehold on me, unfortunately. Jay Nicole, I don't think you're alone on that. We exhausted our boy with some deep discussions today. Yeah, today was fucking wild. We just finished an hour-long reaction on... the video was an hour. My reaction to it was 4 hours. So... my brain is pretty mush at the minute. 4 hours is a long fucking time to be reacting to one video. Not gonna lie. That was rough. I'm resubbing this week. Oh shit, Kyle with the $20 super chat. Really appreciate you, fam. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I wonder why the hell it's not... why am I not getting... what's going on? Why is it not showing... it's not making any sound when people super chat or do anything over on YouTube. I wonder what's that. What is that about? Wait, I don't think... has it made any sound today for anyone subscribing? Vlad, how you doing? All right, Calpy, let me see what you gave me money for. I'm doing pretty well. Excited for all your Old God Void speculation with the upcoming trilogy. Story-wise, I think this chapter of Warcraft will be the best yet. I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. I just made a video today about the Nerubians. I'm pretty excited for that video, so I'm pretty excited for you guys to see that video. It'll probably be on Thursday. But I just made a video about that. I'm mostly excited for the Nerubians. Like, looking into the Nerubian history... oh, fuck, man. There's so much cool shit that can come out of that. So much cool shit. I bought the Epic Edition purely hoping not that many people did, so I can have a non-laggy launch expansion purely for that reason. Trickle, what if everyone bought the more expensive version so they can all get in on early access and your experience sucks? Did it on Twitch? Wait, who's asking what? About Twitch, Muxa? Going off of what you said, they originally started as spiders and changed. Look at the beginning, and then the end of that scene. That bitch has a nose at the end. Titan Reborn, so they were definitely not spiders. At least, not from what we can tell. But it looks as if almost all Nerubians had the same the same origin story. The biggest problem with the Nerubians is once you start diving into their history, the Nerubians pretty much actively resisted the Old Gods, fought against the forces of the Old Gods. Some of their earliest, history is them fighting the Faceless Ones. So the original speculation that I had is that the Nerubians must have been created by the Old Gods because of the mural. But now, it looks more as if the Nerubians may have been an early defense force of Azeroth. I go into a lot more detail in the video. You'll see it there. But there's something interesting with the Nerubians. They are definitely the oldest race we have on Azeroth. By far, the oldest race on Azeroth. At least known race that we have. Developed story with civilization and all things after the bad empty story from Northrend. Gringo, so the reason, never forget, there is a reason why the story of Northrend was so empty for the Nerubians. At the time of the Nerubian Empire that we see in Azul Garub and with Anubarak, the Traitor King, is they are already undead. They've already lost the war against the Ner'zhul's Lich King. And they were already raised in undeath. So their culture is completely dead. Their civilization has been completely decimated. Once the Traitor King Anubarak is turned and raised in undeath, he is the one that slaughters the remaining Nerubians in the Empire, those who will not turn, and then just turns them anyways. And there's a small force that escapes to the Skittering Hollow, and we only get to the Skittering Hollow in Battle for Azeroth, which is where some of the Nerubians dug all the way through to the Skittering Hollow, and that's where they live now. But we also know of Nerubian empires that Magni Bronzebeard visited, and Bran Bronzebeard visited, and so there's a lot more to their history. But the specific empire in Northrend is already destroyed by the time we get there. So you wouldn't learn much about them. The old god blood made them more human. It is possible. Britgirl J, how you doing? On Trolls Assault. Britgirl J, so from what I can gather in the lore. Now remember, a lot of this lore is at least partially untrustworthy. Because most of it comes from the Titans. And what little the Titans could piece together. But remember, the Titans weren't here at the start. They weren't on Azeroth before all life began. So by the time the Titans arrive, most of what had happened had already happened. And the Titans could only really sort of infer based on what they saw at the time. But from what we understand, about 16,000 years ago or so, the Troll Empire sort of arrives or rise up, and the Troll Empire goes to war with the Nerubian Empire. At the time, according to many, just the one empire. The Trolls eventually managed to gain victory, not in destroying the Nerubian Empire, but in splitting it. And that's where you end up with all these different Nerubian empires across the world. So it would appear, at least from my reading of the lore, that the Nerubians predated the Trolls by at least some centuries. Ronan, how you doing? Peter, how you doing, bro? Jabba the Slut, how you doing? I don't know about dedicating an entire expansion to a bunch of bugs, though. Dude, bugs, old gods. Void, Shadow, like fuck yes, let's go, man. I could literally play a World of Warcraft where we just deal with the forces of the Void from here on out, and I'd be happy. The Void has so much potential for story. You could probably create an entire game just around the Void. What do you think? Alexei, how you doing, bro? What do you think? What Azshara's role will be in the future current expansion? So wait for my video to come out on this topic. I don't want to give too much away, but I do go into a little bit about Azshara. But I think, I'll say this, I think Azshara, Xal'atath, and Queen Ansurek, I think their story is connected. I think their story is intimately connected. Azshara Redemption Arc? No. Azshara isn't the kind of character that would seek redemption. Now, Blizzard would have a choice when it comes to the Azara storyline, and maybe I'll make a video on this in the near future, but in order to get Sylvanas her redemption arc, what Mike Ace, thank you so much for becoming a sponsor, bro. Really appreciate you. Welcome to the DJ Nation. Appreciate you, fam. Thank you, thank you, thank you. In order to get Sylvanas her redemption arc, what did Blizzard have to do? They had to force it. They had to basically take a situation that made Sylvanas' character wildly unpopular with just about everyone, because it turned everything that had happened to Sylvanas into her just being a fucking moron. Let's be honest. It took this character that once had a lot of potential, very intelligent, highly distrusting of just about everyone, and it turned her into the biggest gullible fool on the planet, right? Basically the village idiot. And they had to do this because I believe the original idea was that Sylvanas would die. Then, for some reason, not entirely sure, but I think I have a little bit more insight now. I think it was Steve Denuser. Once Steve Denuser takes over from fucked up boy, what's his name again? The guy with the weird surname that was doing really bad shit. Frisiabi, that's the one. Thank you, Alex Frisiabi. Once Steve Denuser takes over from Alex Frisiabi, he doesn't want to kill Sylvanas, but he has a problem. He's already written Sylvanas in such a way that she pretty much can only die at this point, or she has to win, right? So she has to be proven correct. It has to be proven that everything she has warned about is actually what it is, but this would mean that the Denuser has to go along with Alex Frisiabi's story. And he obviously doesn't want to do this. He wants to make it so that the cosmic forces of death can absolutely be trusted, and they're the good guys, and Zivol is this ultimate bad guy. And so he's stuck between a rock and a hard place because he's dealing with a character that would never seek redemption. Remember, redemption arcs are tricky at best. It's usually hated across the board. No one likes a redemption arc. But if you are going to pull off a redemption arc, you need a believable redemption arc. For a redemption arc to be believable, the character needs to be a character that would seek redemption. Sylvanas is not a character that would ever seek redemption. So they had to do this sort of forced redemption thing where actually Sylvanas didn't know who she was and she was corrupted because only half of her soul was there. And this just meant that no one believed it. Everyone was just like, dude, what the hell is this? You have the same kind of thing with Azara. Azara is not a character that will look for a redemption arc, right? She just will not. She will not apologize for anything that she has done because she believes in what she has done. And so you're automatically going to run into some severe issues if you try to force that story through. So I doubt that you'll get one. If you think about the Illidan one, because some people are bringing up the Illidan one. Patlin, how you doing? Some people are bringing up the Illidan story arc, and to that I would say, if you look at Illidan's redemption arc, how was Illidan redeemed? What did Blizzard do in order to redeem Illidan? They did what I said they should have done with Sylvanas, which is they showed him to be correct. So it's not that he was redeemed, it's that at the time, no one actually knew the truth. Only he knew what was going on. And that's why he could be redeemed. If Illidan... Can you imagine this? Can you imagine how many of you would have enjoyed a storyline where Illidan goes, guys, I'm so sorry. Oopsie. How many of you would like that storyline of Illidan going, oops, sorry, my bad. I'm back.
Damn.
Right?
Thank you.
No one would believe that. Everyone would be like, the fuck are you talking about? Battleland, 27 months, part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate you. Thank you. You're far too kind. Exactly, right? Battleland, I really appreciate the subs. In my opinion, Legion really only worked because Illidan was done right. I agree, although I think there were a lot of other things that made Legion work as well, but I think Illidan working was a good, big part of it. Spurk aside, how you doing, brother? Ajara seeks power to retake what was lost. I don't think she's necessarily evil, so her taking a Illidan path of doing the ugly thing to bring good is out of the question. I mean, yeah, for Ajara, power is all she craves. Power is all she's ever craved. Ajara isn't ideologically driven. It's important that people understand that. Ajara has no goals of... In many ways, you know who Ajara is? Ajara is the female version of Gul'dan. Nothing Gul'dan ever did was ideological. Gul'dan couldn't give two fucks about Sargeras' demon invasion. Gul'dan couldn't care less about Azeroth or the destruction or not destruction of Azeroth or the whole goal of destroying the world. He couldn't care less. For Gul'dan, there was only ever one goal. What was that goal? Power. It's all he wanted. It's all he craved. Ajara is that. It's basically the power, like greed in its purest form. It's greed for the sake of greed. Not to do anything with it, just to have it. Just to be capable of saying, I can use it if I want. She has only ever wanted that power. And there is a certain beauty to that, not gonna lie. You can fix her, Holy? I don't know though, bro. I think Ajara would cut your dick off. By the way, God of War, thank you so much for joining the DJ Nation. Appreciate you, fam. Thank you. You're far too kind, sir. Really appreciate that. I'm trying to fix the notifications. Give me a moment. I'm trying to figure out why notifications are not playing. I think I know why, but I'm gonna have to... I think this is it. Let's see. Oh, fuck me. That did not work as well. Okay, let's do... All right, let's see. Oh,
damn.
There we go. There we go. I fucking fixed it.
Oh, damn. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I fixed it, boys. It's working now. Thank you. No need for praise, guys. It's all in a day's work. Threads of Faith incoming. 1 hour left. The story of the Arathi. Be ready, boys and girls. Rodrigo, how you doing, bro? You really think it's going to be the story of the Arathi? Or do you think it's going to be Faerun? The last time... Like, I know you're saying it's 1 hour left, but the last time it was 7 o'clock. Last week it happened at 7 o'clock, and the only reason I remember that is because I was at... I think... What time was it? No. Yeah, I was on Discord call chatting to Wyfern, and as we were chatting, the cinematic came out, and I was like, oh shit, wait. I have to react to this now. So, if they stick to what they did last week, it's gonna happen in about 5 minutes. So 17 points on its sides and 2 more. If you count the top and bottom point, giving us 18 points, which adds up to light, holy Naru, and so on from all of the forces, giving you 18 total. Ronan, wait, I missed entirely what you said there. Hadi, there has to be. If Blizzard doesn't do another 2 animatics, I believe this will be the first time in the history of the animatics, since animatics started, that we only got 1 animatic. So I would be very surprised if we literally just get the 1 animatic. I'm limited by text chat. No worries, Ronan. No worries, man. The light has struck a bargain with the enemy of all. And who do you think that enemy is? I'm excited, but still worry about the quality of the story. I really hope it's good. Dude, I'm placing all of my faith in Chris Metzen. I believe that Chris Metzen can do this. I believe that if there's anyone that can really rock a WoW story, it's Mr. Metzen. So, we'll see. Yeah, but Hobo Apple, what we've gotten thus far, like yesterday's thing, is an animatic. I believe it's what Blizzard calls it, is animatics. Mr. Colossal, how you doing, brother? Waldo, how you doing, fam? And yes, Chris Mason is absolutely a goat. Like, dude, the thing is, Chris Mason is a fan of Warhammer 40k. And that's all I need to know. Like, that's all I need to know. When you tell me that someone that was responsible for the creation of World of Warcraft's lore in the first place is actually a fan of Warhammer 40k, I'm like, let's fucking go. You're telling me this guy is a fan of one of the darkest universes ever created in fantasy? Yes, please. I want this. So yeah, I'm all for Chris Mason creating World of Warcraft now, because if he takes even a smidge of that darkness in Warhammer 40k and puts that into World of Warcraft, that's one hell of a dark story compared to like Dragonflight. Not only that, but the Belador is likely an Octaract. I wish story in WoW was a bit more Warhammer 40k. The story in World of Warcraft would never be like Warhammer 40k. Just to be clear, if Blizzard tried to emulate Warhammer 40k completely, that would be an unmitigated disaster from a story perspective. The whole charm of World of Warcraft has always been Blizzard's unique ability to marry sort of charming comedic moments with very dark storylines. And also, Azalak, thank you so much for subscribing. Welcome to the most degenerate chat on Twitch. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're far too kind, sir. Is it up? Hold up. I'm checking. Here we go. No, that's Dungeons and Delves. Oh. Wait, this is not an animatic. What are they doing? No, Blizzard is going with this one. I wonder if they're doing the animatic a little bit later. Or that, or the animatic is tomorrow. Which would be weird, because Blizzard usually does the animatics. Mix Rips, thanks for the follow. Really appreciate you. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Doran did that on his channel yesterday. This one, Endgame for everyone. We'll see. Let's just wait and see. Because, you know, who knows? Oh, the author's question. Wait, what is the author's question? Lotus Chaos, thanks for the follow. Really appreciate you welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Is this actually a WoW cost? Oh, I like WoW costs. I'm watching this. Oh, it's WoW cost. Let's do this, boys. I'm still glad. I like WoW cost. Let's go. Hold up. I need to sit down for this. This is serious business. Only started playing this game since getting my new PC. My previous one was a potato. And how are you feeling about it? You enjoying it? All right, boys. Let's go. I'm glad I can finally catch a stream. Always watching YouTube videos. Very happy to have you here, Lotus. Very happy to have you here. Thank you so much for joining. Dude, Queen Ansurek looks badass. I don't know why people are so upset about it. She looks badass to me.
Welcome to a special edition of Wowcast, and thank you so much for joining us. Launch is right around the corner, and today we are joined by a few incredible guests to share how dungeons, raids, and PvP has evolved, as well as new features like delves and warbands. Please introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Laura Sardinia. I'm lead UX designer in the WoW team.
Hey, I'm Morgan Day, one of the associate game directors on World of Warcraft.
And I'm John Mark Hempel. I'm a lead gameplay engineer on World of Warcraft.
How has the team been approaching what's waiting for players at max level for the War Within?
As we've been talking about, the content that players will be experiencing once they reach the end game, there's really been three main pillars we've been focusing on. The first is variety. We want to make sure that there's all kinds of activities for you to do, whether it be in the outdoor world or with some of our new features like delves that are really going to add some new variety for those players. Additionally, we really want to focus on progression and giving players new challenges to try to overcome in the end game. And finally, the story and making sure that that narrative is front and center. Now, whether that's tied into some of these features and some of the content that we built there, or maybe it's focused on the end game campaign that is going to be built out as players progress as well. Something that I think is going to be really transformative and I'm excited about for the War Within is one of our major features, warbands. If you're unfamiliar, this is a feature that really ties all your characters together. And really this is our opportunity to make sure that we're really respecting the time of the player behind the keyboard and not constantly asking you to, maybe re-earn something on one character that you've already earned.
Dude, I know warbands have had a number of problems and I realize that. How you doing, by the way, bro? OG Tag, how you doing, fam? I know warbands have not worked and there's been a lot of problems with it, but in theory, once all of the shit has been sorted out, it cannot be stated enough just how much of a W this is. And if you look at how Blizzard responds to feedback on it, Blizzard announced a few days ago that they confirmed that not all appearances will be available when you kill bosses and stuff. So you would have to kill bosses multiple times in order for you to collect all of the appearances of the bosses. And then people obviously sort of went, wait, what the hell is this? Why should I just keep doing the same bosses over and over again? And if I'm not mistaken, Blizzard actually said that they'll be looking into it. So they are going to pay attention to it. Which to me, dude, this is going to be such a mega feature moving forward. Or for quests, yes, sorry. Specifically quest bosses, excuse me. So the quests that you get that give you as a reward, that give you the appearances, Blizzard is saying that they're looking into those. Realistically speaking, warbands were always going to fail at launch, then patch into quality. We all know how changes like this work, so I'm not even disappointed. No, that's why I didn't make a big deal out of it. Just to be fair, I never made a video on the warbands sucking, because fundamentally, you're talking about structurally one of the largest changes ever made to World of Warcraft. But you're talking about a thing that you're literally building from the ground up to try and overcome, almost 2 decades of architecture in World of Warcraft. Anyone that expected that feature to work 100% at the time of launch was delusional. Like, we're not talking about implementing Pac-Man into fucking MS-DOS. We're talking about changing the structure and architecture of the game. That was always going to be a problem. So the only issue as of right now, too, is the gear that is class-specific drops, not tokens, that are not auto-added and need the class to obtain the MOG. I do think they're going to be changing that at some point.
We earned another one. That's
John,
all
how you doing,
changing
bro?
with the War Within, which is really exciting.
John Mark, can you tell us more about the significant undertakings that Warbands is about?
Yeah, it's no easy task to reimagine in a modern context what we've done over the past 20 years. I think, Morgan, at BlizzCon, you called this several features in a trench coat. Yeah. And it's very true. In a nutshell, it's really a philosophical shift in how we approach the game. Instead of being from a character focus, we're taking a step back and approaching it more from what the players accomplished over the entire time that they've played the game. Historically, we've added on pieces to individual systems from the...
There's one thing that I should mention here, and I can already see this turning into one hell of a react, but there is one thing that I should mention here that is super important, and that is Warbands will remove a lot of the replayability of World of Warcraft. Even if you made the argument, dude, no one liked replaying WoW for some of that shit, like reputations, like transmogs and all the rest of it, that was still replayability, right? It still sent people out into the world to have to redo things in order to collect those appearances that they may or may not want on their alts. Whereas that's going away entirely. And that's a good thing. I'm not for a second here saying, oh, Blizzard should really figure out. That is a good thing. What Blizzard does need to figure out now is how do you fill that gap? Right? How do you fill that up with more content? Because Delves is one step in the right direction, but I fear they're gonna need to have a lot more content that fills that gap for players that might be replaying for certain things. I love my alts and like the difference in play when I use them. Berkel J, that's not what I'm talking about. Remember, in the past, you would switch to an alt, right? And then, yes, you would do dungeons on that alt and you would have fun. You would do raids on that alt and you would have fun. But once you've done all the dungeons, you've done all the raids, and now there's nothing to do, you might go out and you might go farm an appearance on a specific, from a specific dungeon or from a specific raid or something like that. That's what we call filling the dead time. People don't often think of that as an important thing, but it is something you're doing that's keeping you busy in the game. Once there's no reason to go and do that thing in the game, it can very quickly lead to a place where, well, what do I do now? Right? I have no appearances to collect. I've already unlocked all of these appearances on my main, and I don't have any dungeons left. I could level another character, but I don't really want to level another character. So you're going to have more content weaved into it that is doable so that people have something to do. It's a different problem to solve, and arguably a much more fun problem to solve, because all you need to do is make more content, and people will love that. Who doesn't want more content?
The engineering side to support features going into expansions. But if we could wave a magic wand and go back 20 years ago, knowing where we're headed today, likely we would have organized those things very differently from an engineering perspective.
Yeah, and I really feel like this is easily one of the largest undertakings that our engineering team has had to develop for an expansion. We always used to look at updates to future patches where, like, let's make this a little bit easier for your alt to catch up or earn some progression there, where now that is something that we're really architecting from the forefront and really beginning the conversation with that.
I think when it's all said and done, every engineering sub-team is going to have touched this feature.
So what value do warbands bring?
It's all about being able to transfer stuff between your characters. If you have items that you want to send from one character to the other, you just put it in the warband bank. If you have currency that you want to send from one character to the other, you can just...
I wonder, do you think, would it even be useful, but do you think we could get to a place where you don't even have to put it into a special bank? Like, it's just available. Like, if you've clicked something, it's just there. Like, you log into an alt and it is just there for you to use whatever, right? So you don't have to summon a bank and put it inside the bank. It just, you log on, open the bags, and you have a tab for your character and all of the other characters, and you just get whatever the fuck you want. Is that something that Blizzard wants to do? Is this sort of protecting the fantasy of it? Because you do have to remember this is still a game. And while there's a lot of things that they might do because it makes sense from an accessibility standpoint, you still have to respect the fact that there is a story here and there is a world. And while your characters are all part of the same war band, they're not the same character. Right? And so the argument there could be, well, we don't want to make everything that connected because we want to preserve this idea of this is still you playing. Of your content, I absolutely love your narration style, based lore and speculation creator, amazing content depth. Alexandru, thank you so much. Really appreciate you, fam. Welcome to the stream. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Holy, what are you saying? Because you keep tagging me. I think this is fine, to be honest. What you're asking is too much work, Akon. There is no such thing. There is no such thing. What you're asking is too much work. Go fuck yourself. I pay them to do this work. I will ask for whatever the hell I want, and they will deliver it because that's why I pay them. If they don't want to do too much work, they should stop charging me for the game. It's as simple as that. Oh, Dance TV, how you doing, bro? You've been a spark of joy in my life. Dude, I am grateful to hear that. If I can bring a smile to your faces, that's all I really give a fuck about. That's why I exist. So thank you for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, the heirlooms debacle is pretty ass. I had a collection of perfectly chanted gemmed heirlooms to move tune to tune. Now I have to do it every time for every tune. So much for leveling. Because I have to say, I think heirlooms, I don't know how the heirlooms are in the warband feature right now, but the heirloom system has just fundamentally been an ass system for me from day one. The whole idea that you have to go to a specific NPC to buy the heirlooms, and then it has all of the heirlooms available. I think now you can finally filter it so that, you know, I don't know, I haven't bought heirlooms in a very long time, but back in the day, you couldn't even filter to see which ones do I have and which ones do I not. So they were just all there. It was just such a boring thing. And then you have to buy different things because different things unlock different fucking heirlooms. And it's like, bro, come on. Like, just give me the ability to buy the heirloom. Like, just straight up. I just want to buy the heirloom. I don't want to do math. Like, I don't want to write down all the amounts of this I need for the amount of that I need. Like, just please. I want this heirloom. Give me this heirloom. Let me buy this. So I think the heirloom system has pretty much always been ass. And it really fucking tanked the second all of the XP bonuses went away. Because that was the most fun part of the heirlooms. Sacrifice some power, but just level like a fucking crazy person. I liked it when it was first implemented in terms of their effects. They just keep ruining them step by step. Now they're mostly useless. I wonder why they're doing that. Because you are right. It's lost a lot of its power. In filters, but I'll tell you, you already have specific ones.
Just grab it directly from all the characters that are on your account. Or if you're a druid and you're going through one of the old raids and you get a piece of plate gear, your warrior can just equip it.
Yeah, one of the things I love about it is the shared renown, right? Like, there's so much reputation that I'm gaining across my characters that will all be combined and consolidated on one account-wide reputation there. There's a lot of fun stuff that also enables when it comes to, like, trying to find, you know, more variety in the way I approach the game. For instance, I was leveling, I think, my second character on the beta recently, and I made sure to go out and, you know, turn Warband questing on so that I saw all the quests that I already completed. It's a little bit less opaque, so it's kind of transparent, and that way you know,
that's quite
like,
nice.
okay, I've done that quest on one of my other characters, so I can kind of cherry pick all the reputation from quests that I haven't completed yet. Something else when it comes to, you know, maybe gearing that new character, there's actually a new type of item called Warbound Until Equipped, or WOO. This is a new item that will drop in all kinds of endgame content, including things like Mythic Plus and Raids, where these will be bonus drops, where they'll drop a slightly lower item level where you might have earned that reward, and then you can put that in your bank or send it to one of your alts, and actually, once you equip it on one of your characters, then it will bind to that character. So the fact
I love this system because it somehow grants rewards even if it's not a straight up reward for the character that you're playing. And also, it might actually incentivize people to level alts, right? So imagine you have, for example, Andrew, how you doing, bro? Imagine if you had, for example, an alt that, you have a player that's just playing a main, but they're getting all of these glaives and leather gear that is equipped, warband until equipped. Then at some point they might go, dude, I have all this gear. I may as well just make a fucking demon hunter and check it out. Right? So it gives you a little bit of that incentive of going, oh, wait, I can level my character and already be nicely geared. Like, let's go. I like that. And lol, I absolutely agree with you. I think WoW Remix, Mist of Pandaria Remix should close down and immediately reopen and become a permanent feature. From this moment forward, I want to level all my characters in WoW Remix. It's a lot more fun. And I don't see why we can't just level with WoW Remix. Because leveling in World of Warcraft is ass. At least for me. I hate leveling now.
The fact that it binds to the warband means we can be really generous with that gear as we're dropping for alts.
I imagine as part of this overhaul that it's led to some unique challenges with the UI.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. UI revamp continues, and Warbands was a great opportunity for us to revamp the character select. Last time we did a big entry screen update was during Shadowlands. So with Warbands, we did a whole big user experience revamp there. We kept the right side list, but now you can drag and drop much easier your characters, and we have a favorite section there.
That is actually, unironically, the greatest change in the War Within. Like, if this was the only change that happened in the War Within, no new story, no new nothing, it would have been worth. Being able to drag and drop your characters in the right fucking order. Dude, the fact that we were stuck with those little arrows that you had to click up and down for so long, what a change.
Which is really cool because they're all cross-helm characters that you can have. So you don't need to be back and forth choosing characters. They're all going to be there for you, very, very easy. And also the tooltips are all new. Snio just mouse over and it's all there for you. So pretty great improvements overall. And also the new bank for your warband characters. So a lot of good improvements that we wanted to make sure it feels natural to players and it just feels great. That's what a good UI should be, So yeah, that's what we're looking for.
There's a lot of functionality out of that too. Like you can craft straight out of your warband bank. So,
Spurk aside, you must be new here. Very happy to have you. But it has always been Orc and it has always been Warlock, sir. Always. Since the very first character I leveled all the way back at the end of Vanilla, I have never switched away from my Warlock. Granted, when I first leveled it, it was a human because all my friends were Alliance and they were like, dude, just the Alliance is the best. I wanted to go Horde because I played Warcraft 3 and Orc was my favorite faction in Warcraft 3. And so the second I could, I convinced my friends to switch from Alliance to Horde. I mean, I became an Orc and I've never switched. It is just my favorite. Hands down. Oniket, how you doing, brother?
You can just dump all that stuff in your warband bank and, one of your other characters who might be able to use that profession stuff will then be able to access it much more quickly. You don't have to mail it around and, it's really looking to streamline a lot of those experiences.
For our Mythic Plus runners or dungeons, any kind of activity that requires a group, we also revamped that left panel, the little ear pane that you push it out. You can now apply raid markers much easier. You can also assign different folks in your group to do so, which before wasn't that easy. And also,
a big W for this would be if they could make that little bar where you apply markers, if they could make that a free floating bar, Because that's what I used to do with Valve UI. Just you put the bar right below your character, so you can just very quickly click it to mark stuff. Going to the side, it's very far to the fucking side.
So you can change very easily as well the difficulty of the instance.
One of the other things I love that we added is hubs, right? So on the main map, there's often, as you are progressing in the end game, there's all kinds of content that might be really consolidated in one area. And sometimes it's like, oh, there's so much stuff here, and it makes the map feel like it might have a little bit of clutter on it. So we now have a way to kind of consolidate some of that.
The hubs, as Morgan was explaining, when you get in the World Within, you're gonna see this castle city icon.
That is fucking, that is crazy cool. I know this is literally just, like, basically doesn't impact gameplay at all. I realize that. But this is fucking cool. So many times you see a bunch of quests in one spot and you have no idea, like, what's actually going on there. This is cool. I like this. I like this.
The biggest one, when you click on it, you can see the city map. And one of the technologies that we want to add, the hub gonna prioritize for you what is the most important content for you to do. Of course, you can choose to do something else, but we wanna clean up the surroundings of hubs in main cities. So that's the kind of tech that we're looking into UI as well, and we wanna evolve and get players' feedback. Also for the end game, we have a new type of quest that's called meta quests, but those are end game important repeatable quests, and then they are the classic exclamation mark, above the NPC heads. But it's blue because it reminds of the old dailies. But you're gonna have spikes around it, so that's like, I should check this out. Yeah. So the hub when there's something available as a meta quest for that week, the hub will show that to players, so you know that's something that you should do. If you don't.
Someone said it in chat just now, and I absolutely agree with you. These kinds of little things showcase one large truth. Whoever is making these changes is actually playing the game. In the past, one of the biggest complaints that we've had with World of Warcraft is sometimes changes would happen, and all of the players of the game would be like, who the fuck is this for? This wasn't a problem for anyone, or like no one wanted this. Why are you doing this? And Blizzard would just be like, you think you do, but you don't, right? And then that would just be the end of the discussion until 2 expansions later, when Blizzard finally goes, oh, never mind, we've changed this. This says to you that these developers are playing the game and they are running into problems. They're running into a lack of data, a lack of information. And they immediately thought, how can I make this information a lot more accessible so that the player can see it instantly? I love this because it means that we're going to see more of this happening in the future.
Don't have too much time, you probably should prioritize those because they give very, very good in-game rewards. So that's the kind of technology that UI is trying to help players. Yeah.
So someone said, I hope you might be right. Let me just explain why I know for a fact that these kinds of changes hint at developers playing the game. These are not the kind of things that players would ask for. Not because players don't want it, but a player might say, I want more visibility, right? Or I can't see all of the quests in town. But what they actually mean is they don't know exactly what is available in town, right? Or they might not complain about it at all. Like, I've never thought about making a complaint about not being able to see what quests are available in a specific town. I've never even thought about it, even though it has been an annoyance. When I just saw them showcasing this, I was like, fuck, this is going to make my life so much easier if I can just hover over an area and instantly see what quests are available there. You wouldn't know this unless you are a developer playing the game and thinking from that perspective of, okay, what do I miss in the game that I can put in the game to make the game easier to read? You wouldn't think of this if you're just a developer making the game for the players, because the players will never ask for this. They wouldn't even know what to fucking ask for. Like, what are you asking for on the forums there? make a town that shows me all the quests. Like that, how would that even translate? You have to play the game to understand what players want. Very true. Blue Shader, how you doing, brother? I should give his RPG book, Ouroboros Coils of the Serpent, a read, and maybe some hints towards Wild Horror. I still want to read that, by the way.
That's really helpful.
You might be coming back, or you're veteran players, or you just want to, do the easiest thing for the week, and that's going to be out there on the map for you, so you don't have to go back to the icon soup.
Where's how you doing, brother?
Extra quality of life improvements to the UI?
Sure, I've seen a lot of the community very happy about the search bars, so we keep adding those. With
Parmesan, how you doing, brother?
Search bar there as well. In Dragonfly, we had the search in the options menu. Professions, of course, if you're searching for something specific. Bags, we added that in Dragonfly.
I don't know how the professions are going to work, but I will say this, and this may be a super unpopular opinion. I didn't like professions before Dragonflight. I hate professions now. Like I fucking despise professions in Dragonflight. It was just like, dude, the amount of grind to get my profession maxed out, I gave up. I was like, fuck this. I don't care. I'm not doing this every day. Like, this is nuts. I can't be asked, because it constantly wants you to travel all over the world to create certain things, and then you need special items that you can't get from the world. You have to buy it from the auction house. And I was just like, dude, I'm happy to travel all over the world to craft things. I'm happy to buy stuff off the auction house. But then I at least want to get to max level at some point, and actually make stuff that is worthwhile. I don't want to be doing this. Yeah, the other problem was confusing. Like, maybe I'm just not fucking smart enough. Maybe I'm way too stupid. But to this day, I do not understand the professions of WoW. I don't know how anything fucking works. It's just like, well, I find the lady says craft something. I craft the thing that she tells me. I don't know why I'm doing it. I don't know what I'm supposed to level first, last. None of that makes sense to me.
Dragonfly and the talents, but now the spellbook is getting a whole revamp, and it's so good to have a search bar there. The spellbook looks beautiful now, like you can have 2 pages, and that way you don't have to paginate as much.
I like this, by the way.
But if you really prefer one pane, there is an icon at the top, which is the collapse one. It comes back to the original classic size, so we know some players really love that, and we want to make sure that everyone is happy with.
Yeah, I know a lot of people complained about the new book, right? The spell book. Like, a lot of people complained, not everyone, but a lot of people complained they hated the fact that it was taking up their whole screen. And I was like, bro, I open my spell book once, maybe every patch, just to get all the spells from the spell book onto my bar. The fuck up is if I have to go page next, just show me everything on one nice page, so I can pick the shit that I need. I like it.
With the new spellbook, having the time to do all that stuff makes us so happy, because we want to keep the classic WoW look, even though it looks modern, but it still feel WoW, and that's really important for us.
Yep.
Morgan, earlier you mentioned you want to empower players to play the way they want to play. How is that going to be approached in the new feature Delves?
Yeah, so, like we've discussed, Delves are really bite-sized content, really targeted on those players who love progression in the outdoor world and maybe aren't so excited about going into group content or queued content.
I'm looking forward to this.
Gave us feedback on is that they really wish that there was a way for these to be a bit more difficult and maybe give them a bit of a challenge too. Delves, while the rewards might end at tier 8, so that the item level that you're getting stops there, the difficulty tier goes to 11. And when you reach that difficulty, there will be a hard mode version of Zekfir, which for people who might be familiar with some of those solo challenges like the Mage Tower of the past, this will be a new solo challenge for players to really, try to tackle over time. And we imagine this is something that will take quite a bit of effort and
that's as cool as shit, actually.
To defeat Zekfir at that difficulty. And waiting for you, if you're able to do that, is a really awesome, unique, kind of voided out version of that customizable delve mount that you're going to be rewarded with very early on in your delve progression.
Can you talk about the different varieties of delves?
Yeah, so with delves, there's 13 delves in total, and something that we really wanted to focus on was to make sure that each delve had multiple variants, right? So while there's 12 delves that you'll experience and be sent to, a couple in each zone, every time you zone in, we wanted to make sure that, it wasn't just some small tweaks here and there, like, the spawning changed a little bit, or maybe there's some traps that look a little bit different. The actual objectives are changing. Sometimes the way you traverse through the delve
it's
completely
customizable.
changes. Maybe you're going to start at the end of the delve this time and work your way backwards. So we wanted to make sure that these different variants were really distinct with each new delve. And we also wanted to make sure that, like I said earlier, with progression, to be a
Beautiful
large part of
expansion,
it.
this,
So
bro.
there's a couple different aspects of that. For one, the Great Vault, which is something that a lot of our raid and PvP and Mythic Plus players are familiar with, is going to get an outdoor row with the War Within. So the loot that comes from delves, we wanted to make sure that...
Oh, great. Do you guys know that I missed out on 6 possible upgrades throughout the whole of Dragonflight from the Vault? Because every once in a while, like, you guys know how I play WoW. I play the story. I don't really do dungeons. I don't do raids, any of that shit. But every once in a while, I would get this sort of thing that would just be like, oh, let me go do some Mythic Plus. And then I would do Mythic Plus. And so I'm obviously going to get some stuff from the Vault. And then I just completely forget about the Vault. I've never opened the Vault. Ever. Like, there's just never been any... I've never gotten, I think, an item from the Vault, actually. Because I just keep forgetting to open the fucking Vault and to look. Holy, from what I've experienced, unless they've changed that, if you miss the item, it's gone. Like, I've never been able to get an item again. I could probably go check. There might be, like, fucking 6 items waiting for me in the Vault. But, like I said, I don't do it enough, so I keep forgetting to open the Vault. To be fair, it was about halfway into the expansion that I figured out where the Vault is. So that should also be mentioned. I don't go to the Vault ever for anything, so to open it twice in a row or some shit because I didn't open a Vault for weeks and then I came back. It stays until next reset. Okay, so I will definitely not have it because I haven't played any Mythic Plus. I've just been questing and basically doing the world events at the minute. But late now, though, they won't be upgrades. Oh, everything, I think, will be an upgrade for me.
While it was bite-sized content, that doesn't mean it can't be really rewarding, right? So if you're able to, work your way up and defeat level 8, which is where the loot kind of caps out at, your Great Vault will actually reward you with items that are higher item level than you would get out of like a Mythic plus 10 end of run chest. So it's really, really good loot.
Fuck
really
me.
And we
rewarding.
want to make sure that you're using that gear that you're in along the way to work through the different delve tiers and finally take the fight to Zekvir.
That's a bit... I'm not trying to pick fight here, but if the gear you can get from the Vault is Mythic plus 10 gear, doesn't that like almost force players that maybe don't want to do Vaults now to must do Vaults? That feels like, I don't know, that feels like the opposite of what the Vault should be, which is completely optional. You don't think so? I mean, if it's Mythic plus 10, how is that not forcing players to do the delves? Because you have the opportunity to get a Mythic plus 10 item in your Vault. New Mythic Plus in raids is better. This is plus 10. So if you're someone that isn't necessarily at plus 11 or 12, you might need to do it. Another option, they're going to spam Mythic Dungeons anyway. Yeah, but Chris, I'm very... let me explain it to you guys this way. The thing that killed Torghast was the fact that players felt forced to do Torghast. Not Torghast. Torghast itself was fine. The problem was the second you forced players to do Torghast, that became a problem. The issue is that players are humans really are hyper. We're little optimization bots. All humans are like this, right? We're little optimization bots. And we will do absolutely everything to optimize. Like just nom, 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 let's go. I'm optimizing the shit out of everything. To the point where we will optimize the fun right out of a fucking game. If you allow humans to do this, they'll optimize the fun right out of something. And then they'll complain, this isn't fun. And you're like, well, it's not fun because you've literally fucked it for yourself, but never mind that. So if you create a potential for this system to be abused, people might abuse it, right? And then they'll complain, we hate delves, fuck delves, even though technically they don't have to do delves, they could just spam Mythic Plus, because the gear is so much higher in the delves than what they probably get, let's say they're Mythic Plus 7, they feel like they must do delves, because that's where they're going to get the best gear. So that's the only thing I'm worried about. I'm not saying that it will happen, but every time this has happened in World of Warcraft, players have figured out a way to make that unbearable for themselves.
And by extension, Xalatath as well, which also gets us into feeling like delves should be a big part of our endgame story as well, and making sure that they're paying into this narrative.
Epic Thulu, it doesn't matter. So it does not matter at all. When you say, when I say forced, and you say, wait, but Torghast was forced because you had to do it in order to get your legendaries. Whether the game forces you to do something or the way you play and the way that is acceptable to play, the community forces you to do something, it's still force. It doesn't matter who is applying the force. As a developer, you have to be cognizant of the fact that this could create force. And that's the issue, right? Michael Zali, baby. Alpha Sigma, how you doing? Again, I'm not saying that it will happen. I'm just, the plus 10 feels like high. It feels high. But then that's also reliant on what Mythic Plus level do you do before you get a plus 11, right? Or you get a much better piece of gear. Because at that point, would it be better to run delves or would it just be better to spam Mythic Plus? So if the balance is correct, then it doesn't matter at all, right? If the balance is fine, so it's actually much better to run Mythic Plus than it is to run delves. But I haven't played, so obviously I can't know. And if I don't think they should dive too much into min-maxing beyond determining if it's optional. But if I ever want to raid or do Mythics, I'd be better prepared for them. So, what's the death counter? Timo Gotham, how you doing? The death counter is me forgetting to turn off my Elden Ring death counter. I should probably just turn it off, sorry. I keep forgetting to deactivate the death counter. But yeah, it's for Elden Ring.
Of Xalatath and all of our epic heroes that we're experiencing along the way. Something else that we added in the UI for delves is, there's now a whole tab that exists for delves. That
really how you doing, bro?
With, the adventure journal, where you can see Mythic Plus and see your seasonal journey there. Now when you go to the delves tab, you can find the Great Vault from there. You can also see Bran, who's your companion. You can change his spec and see kind of the progression there. So lots of fun UI additions and improvements that have made delves that much more fun.
The team has also made significant changes
Milo,
to Mythic Plus dungeons. Can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, so actually, not only is Mythic Plus getting some changes, but also the core progression of dungeons is shifted quite a bit. So if you've been playing Dragonflight Season 4, you might have seen that Mythic 0 has actually gotten quite the facelift. Something that we have noticed in the past is Mythic 0 was great for like 2 weeks of an expansion, and then nobody really needed to do it anymore because they had just progressed into Mythic Plus. So with the War Within, a Mythic 0 will be the equivalent of what, if you haven't played since Shadowlands, a Mythic 10 might have been.
Although I've read on Twitter, a lot of people are not happy with this change. There's been a lot of high-level players that's been warning that your average player will not enjoy Mythic Plus this expansion, because apparently some of the bosses are fucking incredibly hard. They just ridiculously hard. I don't know. I have not done it yet, but that's what I've heard at least. So we'll see. And Jordan, I will say on that point where you say at some point it is on the player to show restraint, That's never happened in the history of the world. Never. As a developer, part of your job is to think about the potential ways in which players will feel pressure to exploit certain systems, and then try. You're never going to be able to do it perfectly, but try to create it in such a way that the player isn't forced to exploit it, because there is such a thing as community pressure. If you want to keep your raid spot, you will do this. Right? So now it's not really about restraint. It's about the fact that I must do this thing or else I don't get to raid, right? So it's sort of like, as a developer, you have to keep that in mind when you're designing the game. But again, it's all about balance. You can have this, just as long as the balances work out, you're good. You can't please everybody all the time. Twitter, who the fuck? Well, to be fair, the people on Twitter aren't like bad people. It's like high-level raiders that's just been talking about the Mythic Zero or the Mythics and the Mythic Plus, saying it is ridiculously hard. The boss mechanics are very, very difficult, and then the Mythic Plus just makes it even harder to do. So I'm not sure, but that's what I've heard.
So it's quite difficult, and will be equally as rewarding. But we wanted to capture that audience of people who loved that feeling of the mega dungeons, where there's still progression, but also there's no timer, right? So if that was something that maybe put you off from Mythic Plus, this is
there you
something
go.
that you
What
can still
Henvy
do
said
with your
there.
friends, and hey, you can run AFK if you need to in the middle of these. But for Mythic Plus itself, we really took a huge step back and wanted to do a major affix refresh. We have gone through multiple iterations of that on the beta. We got a lot of feedback from our first iteration of it and have really pivoted significantly since then.
It was kind of neat because we had some players that said, we really like the direction of these affixes. These I don't know about. And then other players that felt the exact opposite. I'm not sure about these, but I really like this direction. And really what it helped us crystallize was we had multiple groups of players that wanted different challenges out of the same Mythic Plus system. Historically, affixes have been a one-size-fits-all approach to challenge and variety. But it was kind of a cool moment. Morgan came to the gameplay engineering team and was like, hey, we got this feedback. We have this idea for making affixes target different level ranges rather than applying to the entirety of Mythic Plus. And the design solution ended up being pretty elegant for engineering to implement. It was like this beautiful confluence of events where we were able to turn this around within, 2 weeks or something like that, and get the full revamped system back on the beta for players to test.
Yeah, it was really awesome to see kind of that all come together so quickly. So, what players...
Alex, so affixes are separate debuffs and buffs, or sometimes buffs, not really buffs, but let's say buffs. Separate debuffs that apply to the dungeon. So you have the dungeon as the base form, 3 or 4 bosses and a bunch of mobs, but then you have affixes on top of the dungeon that will make the dungeon harder or change the way you have to approach the dungeon. So where without the affix, you could just pull the whole dungeon and kill all the mobs alongside the boss. Thanks to certain affixes, this will be a death sentence. You cannot do that, because the mobs will buff each other, or the mobs will do increased damage, or whatever the case may be, right? So ultimately, it sort of changes the way you approach the dungeon. And these are what affixes are. The shoulders on my pally were dope. If those who are rating plus 12, plus 17 found this a bit insane, I don't know how the people who are doing less than plus 10 will feel about it if they stay like this. I have no idea, right? So all I know is the change that I love most about the Mythic Plus system is that all affixes disappear after plus 10. That was the change that I thought was the best, because then it really does just become this, how high can you go? Just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing until there's nothing left, right? And you literally just can't do the damage anymore. I like that, because there's sort of a purity then in how high can you push, and you're not being screwed over by certain weeks over other weeks. And so I think it's better. Or plus 12, it's whatever is the top margin, that's the one where it stops. So the affixes stop.
I've seen now, and what will be going live with The War Within Season 1 is a version where Xalatath actually plays a major role in the affixes.
No, but it was 10. When did they change it to 12? In that post that they just showed there, it was anything after plus 10. So the affixes would only scale to 10, and then it would go from there, all affixes disappear. So it must have changed since the original Blue Post. Because I remember we covered the Blue Post. I even made a video on the Blue Post.
From the beginning up until level 12. And it's very much one of the goals we had to make sure that the story plays a part in all of our endgame content. So we really wanted to kind of achieve that by having her kind of show up in your Mythic Plus dungeon and maybe throw some spells at you and mess with you.
We're coming up on the 20th anniversary of World of Warcraft this year, and if you're coming back from a break or if you're a completely new player, just learning the dungeons can be daunting on top of affixes and things like that.
20 years,
the sort of
bro.
granular way that affixes
20 years of this fucking game occupying my life.
With them in the way that they want to be.
That is nuts. That
Something
is
that we
the
added
thought.
in Dragonflight, which is the follower dungeons, are great for that because you can have NPC companions, which are not real players, playing with you through the dungeon. And let's say you just changed to a new spec, you want to be a healer now, and I really want to try that first before really going to a dungeon with new players.
We know that players in dungeons often are afraid of trying out new specs, and with hero talents, there's different flavors of new combat for people to try out.
Oh, that might
Follower
actually
dungeons provide a way.
That might actually be it. It might have been with the Xalatath stuff. So that was early on, but I don't think we ever covered the Xalatath stuff in a separate video. I just looked over the Xalatath stuff. But I remember the Mythic Plus difficulty changes came as a separate thing, and they had all the graphs of how this will change now and what will happen. But then it was still, from what I remember, that was still the normal affixes, just like the stuff that you get. So it might be that I'm remembering. Yeah, my kids grew up seeing us play WoW. They used to fish for us. Dude, it's been 20 years of WoW. Like, holy crap. 20 years of my life playing this game, breathing this game, and really for the last, 7, 8 years? It's been what I make my living off of. This is nuts.
Way for you to just go in and feel it out and not be too concerned about how you're impacting other people.
Approachability has been mentioned a few times. How are we applying that to PvP?
Yeah, there's actually a new feature that I am personally going to play quite a bit, where you're going to be able to experience essentially rated battlegrounds. It's called Rated Battleground Blitz, which is a smaller number of players, and you'll be able to earn conquest and all the awesome rated PvP rewards while playing battlegrounds. Because we know there's a ton of people who love battlegrounds, but the jump into arenas sometimes might be a little bit scary. That is a much more smaller experience, and each little mistake counts for a lot when you're in an arena. Where in a battleground, there's a lot more going on. Usually they last longer. There's objectives. So we really are excited about that new feature. I know I have done a ton of, I know the community calls them YOLO RBGs, where you can just do RBGs, don't worry about voice chat, you just kind of go in and play. I always love running into those, so having this feature will kind of take that place for me. So I'll be able to earn my conquest early on in the season. I know we mentioned the great.
How long do you think before people complain about the RGBs being too hard because no one's focused and everyone's just doing their own thing? And this sucks, Blizzard, you have to fix this.
Great Vault quite a bit earlier when we were discussing this. We actually got a lot of feedback from our PvP players that they don't love having to have the Great Vault be such a big part of their itemization and gearing journey. Not only does it add some potential randomization, right? Like maybe first week of the season you got a weapon and I don't, and that kind of can create some imbalance there. But also, like we're talking about accessibility, it can also cause problems where, maybe you're a couple weeks into the season and you just now want to get into PvP, but there's no catch up on the Great Vault. So you can feel like you're permanently behind on PvP, and it's maybe the barrier to entry is a little too high for you to get into that. So not having that in the Great Vault actually solves a lot of problems for us, giving players more agency and how they're...
Dude, this is a huge change. And for anyone that might not understand it, if you're a PvEer in World of Warcraft, random gear has always been a thing. All gear is random. You don't know what you're going to get. You might get it, you might not. So the vault being somewhat random and you're not entirely sure, yeah, it's great, right? Who gives a shit? For PvPers, RNG has never been a thing. one of the key things about PvP is targeting specific gear pieces early so that you get the biggest boost in damage, and then filling out the rest of your gear slots as is needed. So by introducing the vault, you are just creating this nightmare fuel for a PvPer where they might want this specific item, but this item will just never fucking drop for them. So removing this and taking PvPers back to this idea of, dude, you build your own gear the way that you want to build it. Because remember, fundamentally, the overwhelming majority of PvEers play to gear. PvPers don't play to gear. They gear to play. So that's the fundamental difference in that approach. Now, that's not to say that there aren't PvEers that also gear to play. Of course, I was one of those people, so I know that they exist. But there's very few people who play PvP to gear. Actually, I don't know of many, because most of the PvE gear would be better than the things that you can get in PvP anyways.
Rewarded, and also we have much stronger catch-up on things like our conquest currency for PvP players. So we think that will be a big step forward for that audience, and hopefully, inspire some people to check out PvP in the War Within.
Raiding is an integral part of endgame. How is the team approaching raids this tier?
Yeah, so Nerebar Palace is going to be an epic experience. Nerubians galore in there, and one of the cool new features that we're introducing with War Within is to play through the raid, or at least experience the ending with Queen Ansurek solo. So we wanted to make sure that for people who were really engaged in that story at the end game, but maybe didn't want to go into queued content or don't have a whole group to go into the raid with, they'll still be able to see that epic finale. Something else that I think is really fun, there's a lot of variety in play.
Do you guys think we're killing Queen Ansurek? Because somehow I doubt it. Somehow I just don't see them doing all of this work to introduce Queen Ansurek and then for her to die in the first fucking patch. I highly doubt it. I feel like there's so much potential with her story that killing her first patch is just not gonna work. And yeah, there is obviously that as well. Like Denathrius was another one of those characters that they wanted to kill early, and then they realized, wait, but players fucking love this character. We can't kill this.
Player skill across all of our player types in the game, and we have a lot of difficulties for them. But even within a single raid, there can be a lot of progression that you're experiencing. And with Dragonflight, we added a new item upgrade system where you could upgrade some of your gear. But some players also found that they might not be able to quite get over that hurdle on one of maybe the end boss or something that comes as the penultimate boss. So we're adding a new quest that will unlock.
Metabolic, there's a big difference between Razagaeth and Queen Ansurek. So Razagaeth was introduced, but as a way to introduce the incarnates. Razagaeth herself was never really put in the spotlight as the character of the expansion. She was literally just the introduction to what would become the far more important incarnates. Queen Ansurek got her own animatic. She got her own storyline, basically just focused on her and her decisions. I feel like that would be such a waste if you literally just remove that first patch.
About a month into the War Within, that every week you'll get a little bit more powerful. It's kind of reminiscent of like Hellscream's war song back in Icecrown Citadel, but you'll have to kind of earn your way through that progression. So not only is there awesome concept more, that one thing that comes as the penultimate boss. So we're adding a new quest that will unlock about a month into the War Within, that every week you'll get a little bit more powerful. It's kind of reminiscent of like Hellscream's war.
Oh, dude, this is such a fucking mega W. This is such a mega W. So what this does, Jason, thanks for the $10, dude. Really appreciate you. Thank you, sir. You're far too kind. Zal is a Naru. We figured it out. Really appreciate you, bro. Zaldar probably. I mean, if everything else is tied to Warband, this is probably it as well. But here's why this is mega. Do we have anyone in chat right now that has ever raided like on mythic level? And you get to about the week before the next patch, or not even the week before the next patch, you're busy grinding away. You know, it's about a month and a half into the patch, and you're on this boss, this sort of boss. You and your guild is just knocking against this boss. You can't get past it, but you're close. You're figuring it out. And then suddenly Blizzard nerfs the boss into the fucking ground, and now you're just shooting through it, and you don't feel that sense of, we did it. We did it. Right? This is us. What I like about this change is, first and foremost, it's a quest which suggests you can take it or you can't, or you don't have to take it. So if you and your guild decide, look, we're not going to do increased XP, we're just going to go as is, then you can do that. But if you and your guild goes, no, we're going to do this, you can do it incrementally to the point where you take down a boss, and if you struggle a little bit, just a few more weeks and you'll be strong enough to take down the next boss, and so on and so forth. So it's a lot more gradual, which also allows for guilds to say, all right, guys, we've got 10% increased damage. We're seemingly doing well now. Let's relax for a little bit, see how far we can get. This makes so much more fucking sense than Blizzard's old approach of just nerfing bosses sort of like a month and a half after the expansion, after the patch goes live. I love this.
War song back in Icecrown Citadel, but you'll have to kind of earn your way through that progression. So not only is there awesome gear to be earned as you progress through the raid, but we wanted to make sure that for people who might take a little bit longer, there's some more progression along with just the gear.
That buff's applied throughout your warband, right? It's not just on the character.
Yeah, that's another really fun thing.
There you go.
Like, that was something that maybe would have just been applied to a single character, but in War Within, that buff is across my whole
Can you turn off the buff?
warbands.
That's cool.
While we are talking about raids, I would love to bring it up, the self-highlight option, which I'm a huge fan. You can highlight.
Or is it? No. I hope it's not like a quest that it just automatically goes up. So if you struggle, you can just accept it and then you get plus 50 DPS or plus 50% damage. I hope it's sort of a thing where you can do it every week, but then you can just turn it off if you don't want the XP buff.
Yourself and persist that. But now you can even have an icon on your head that nobody can take from you. So that is awesome. You know, for players, I'm included, that I cannot find myself.
Also pretty big. I know for people that don't raid, probably doesn't matter, but as raiders, this will help. If you can have your own icon and no one can take it from you.
In the whole chaos of a raid boss or even Mythic Plus, there's also another option that's called Show Silhouette when Obscured. If you have that on, there's a silhouette
This looked really cool.
of your character between that pillar. Let's say it's a pillar, so you see your character there.
I always call those like the flag boss or the tree boss. Where it's
Yeah.
like,
This is
the
really
flag
cool.
is my camera. That's really cool, Laura.
You know why this is so cool? There are so many places in WoW where the environment looks beautiful, but it is so annoying to fucking play with. Because your character is just behind a wall and you can't see shit. And it's like, bro, what the fuck? Then you have to zoom in and you play like fucking first person almost just so that you can play. This is cool. Why though? It's only visible to you. Silver Coppin, so that you can see your character when you're just doing a quick glance. So it's especially helpful in stacked scenarios. So in raids where you oftentimes have to sort of loosely stack in one position, sometimes you'll see something on the ground, but because you're just very quickly scanning and there's like fucking 10 people around you, you don't necessarily see that you are standing in this thing. This marker allows you to go, oh, let me just move out of this quickly. You know, because you can see the marker, so you know exactly who you are in this giant maze of just players in front of you or around you.
And I love that. And, you know, not only those cool options, but there's so much more to explore in the War Within. And I'm really excited for our players to come on this journey with us. Both players who have been with us all through Dragonflight, as well as players who might be returning.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this look into endgame content, and we look forward to seeing you in Khazalgar.
I'm looking forward, bros. I am looking forward. Everything they said, I'm excited for. Everything they said, I'm hyped for. I haven't felt this much hype for a WoW expansion in a long time. Not gonna lie. It's been a while. I think the last time I felt this amount of hype was BFA. Like I was excited for Shadowlands, but I was apprehensive after what happened in BFA. I mean, Shadowlands killed all of my hype. Like, all of it was gone. I remember watching the cinematic for Dragonflight and just being like, we'll see. I don't know if this is going to be good. But now, holy shit, boys. I am so fucking ready for this. I am so ready for this. Prophet, I don't know if I'm definitely not where I used to be. Like, that I'll admit. My hype is cautious insofar as they've shown only good things thus far. I've not seen a single thing in this expansion where I work on. How you doing, brother? There's not been a single thing in this expansion that I can point to and be like, that thing's going to break the game. Not a single thing. And that has not been true in World of Warcraft for a long time. Dragonflight actually was the first expansion that I could also see not a single thing that will break the game. I didn't see anything that really hyped me for the game, but I also didn't see anything that would break the game. You go into Battle for Azeroth pretty much from the beginning. Every single one of us was warning about anima and the way anima gear is going to work. You go into Shadowlands, same thing. You knew that Torghast was probably going to be a fucking problem. You knew that the way they wanted to do the legendaries was going to be a problem. And you knew that these things can break the game. Dragonflight came and it was just sort of like a bog standard, safe expansion. Nothing too crazy. This one comes with, there's hype, but there's also nothing I'm looking at going, this is the thing that could break the game if it doesn't work. Because there's nothing forced. There's not a single thing in this expansion that I can look at and say, I'm going to be forced to do this, aren't I? Whether I want to or not, I'm going to have to do this thing. Instead, what there is me for the first time in a long time looking at this going, I can't wait for delves. I don't want to do dungeons. I don't want to raid, but I do want to delve. And I'll be happy to just delve alone on my own, having some fun. So I'm super excited. Living a bad taste of our mouth? Yeah. I feel like my speculation or my theory up until now has pretty much been that I think Dragonflight was the safer option and Blizzard went super safe because of the failures of Battle for Azeroth and Shadowlands. And Blizzard sort of knew let's stabilize things. Let's get back to a stable position and then we can build back up from there. Let's not go too big. So, yeah. I'm really looking forward to Shadowlands. Was fine the first month, but after Castle Nathria raid, the game became boring and no authors. And to tell us that they are listening and want to do better. This is the thing that I was telling Rurikon about during our podcast as well a few weeks ago. The biggest change in World of Warcraft, like by far the biggest change, has been Blizzard Blizzard actually paying attention. Like when the players say we don't like this, it's not deaf ears, you know? It's not like fucking birds chirping, crickets everywhere. It's like as soon as the player base goes, yeah, we don't like this thing, Blizzard is immediately there going, all right, how can we fix this for you? Here's some proposals of what we could do to fix this. What do you guys think? How do you feel about this? I like this. You're about to say refuses to pay attention? Yeah, I was almost falling back into the old the old line of Blizzard was basically, no, it's fine. You know, And then you would have Ian going, I will never forget this. Do you guys remember those interviews? Well, interviews. Those streams that Ian Hazikostas used to do with Lore way back in the day. I will never forget Ian sitting there, one of the questions being about Titan forging and wall forging on gear, and people saying, we really don't like this. Ian going, you know what? This is a conversation we're having internally all the time. We're constantly talking about this, but we're very happy and we have no plans to remove Titan forging and wall forging from the game. And then he went on to explain why we're wrong for wanting Titan forging and wall forging removed from the game. And I remember just sitting there during that live stream and I was like, bro, what the fuck, man? No one likes this. Why would you not listen? Why do you keep going down this? You just refuse. And then something like less than a year later, Blizzard removes Titan forging and wall forging, and you go, we could have saved ourselves a lot of trouble if you just listened to us when we fucking said we don't like this. But, you know, luckily you've done that. All right, let's see. Okay, so we have Wowcast. That's out now. Do we have a new cinematic? Is there a new cinematic? Still no new cinematic. The small, big ones would be a real reason for being in the open world, for example, or performing your class role instead of just being a DPS. So I guess we're not getting a cinematic, boys. We did get a Wowcast, which is just as good. Do you think we're going to get the cinematic either later today, or do you think maybe tomorrow? What if there's no more cinematics? Dude, I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that. This would be the first time since what? That Blizzard have only done one animatic. In what fucking universe? What's your take, worth it or not? Alex is on fire. I'm always hesitant to tell people to buy the expansion because I don't want to be that guy. So what I will say is take this with a grain of salt because I have not played this expansion. I have only followed the news. I did not get invited to any beta or alpha or any pre-testing. But based on everything that I've seen, based on everything the Blizzard have revealed, if you've loved WoW in Legion, if you loved WoW in WoD, if you loved WoW in Cataclysm and Mist of Pandaria and all the rest of it, I think you will like this expansion. I think you'll find it fun. But I don't know because I have not played it. So take what I'm saying with, all of the caution. Could have sworn they did. It just wasn't animatic-like. Ibithulu, no. What do you mean? What do you mean it just wasn't animatic-like? Rukon, I don't agree with that. Bertango, that is possible. So basically what you're saying is we will get the next animatic on the day of the real launch going live, and then we'll get the last animatic on the late launch of the game. Is that what you're suggesting?
Oh, damn. Thank you.
Hi, Safi. Thank you for the Prime sub. Really appreciate you. Welcome to the most degenerate chat on Twitch. Thank you, sir. You're far too kind. How you doing? I think MOP was the last time they didn't do showcase animations like Warlords and Warbringers. Yeah, I think the first time animatics was introduced was in Warlords of Draenor, no? Or was it Legion? Barrens of Shao? I don't even remember watching that. But then again, I wasn't really into watching cinematics back then. Not unless it was in the game, I wouldn't watch cinematics. Hype us up for the War Within Echo. I'm not hyped at all. Madness, I have learned the very hard way, and really Battle for Azeroth and Shadowlands has taught me this. You will get no fucking hype videos from me until a week after the expansion goes live. The last time I did that was in Shadowlands, where, you know, I coming off that cinematic, I was hyped as fuck. And I was making videos about how amazing this game is going to be, and I can't wait to see Sylvanas. And then, of course, we got Nipple Boy, and he ruined everything. So, I will say only my truth on this, right? And to me, it looks like a good expansion. And when I say my truth, I'm not talking about the bullshit on Twitter. I'm talking, this is what I believe. It looks brilliant. I like what I see. I like just about everything that they're announcing. There's not been a single thing that I've looked at that they've announced that I thought, man, this is going to suck. I like what I see. I'm looking forward to what I'm seeing. And that's fucking great. Plus hype classic, plus hype. Jobless Doomer, how you doing, bro? The Barrens of Shao was the first time. It'll be different this time, surely. Rurikon. I know that you're sitting all high and mighty with your Monster Hunter fucking bullshit. But this is WoW. This is WoW, and it's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be good. We're getting 16 million fucking active players week 1. Like, mark my words. It's happening. I can feel it. I can feel it in my penis. It's definitely coming. Alpha Sigma, I agree with you. By show of hands, can I hear, chat, how many of you are excited for the War Within? Like, just to show Rurikon that I'm not a fucking lone on my excitement for the War Within. Can I please get some hands? That's nothing for me. I'm excited. This is my first. Oh, I was like, your first expansion? Oh man, you're in for a treat. Just know this. There is nothing more WoW. I want to be super fucking clear on this. I know, Lil, how you doing? I want to be super fucking clear on this. There is nothing more WoW than the game being literally unplayable day one. Please know this. It's part of the stories. In about a year or two, you're going to be joking with your guildmates about that time that you couldn't lock into the game. I'll tell you one of the stories that I still have to this day. Warlords of Draenor. Warlords of Draenor, the first fucking time you clicked on the little contraption to build your garrison, you bombed out, right? The game crashed, and we couldn't get in for a week. And at the time, it fucking blew ass. But now it's a cool story, because everyone was suffering with locking in for the first week. So just don't expect the game to be fully fleshed out and like smooth playing. Although I must say, in the last few expansions, Blizzard have actually figured out how to not have the game be terrible at launch. My D4 season pass token. What do you mean they stole it, Rurikon? Checking out everyone's marks, laughing our asses off. Actual thieves. Early access is literally the initial bug run. Yo, I like that. It's the stress test before the ultimate stress test. You know what would be... I'm sorry to everyone that bought the more expensive version of the game. just so they can get early access. But you know what would be fucking poetic? And you know what would be beyond poetic? If the game goes live in early access and it is literally unplayable until like the day of launch. That would be the most poetic thing that could ever happen in the history of ever. Scumbag fucking move to get people to spend more money on your game, only for the game to be unplayable until the very day of launch. I would laugh so hard at that. And hopefully that will be the lesson to Blizzard to never again do that. That happens, I better get 30 days free game time. I don't care. I bought for the battle pets. And then that's fine. If there are people that bought the more expensive version because they like the pets and stuff, I don't judge that. Although I don't think the pets are necessarily worth it, but that's for me. I'm not a collector, so I'm perfectly happy with that. The only thing I hate about the more expensive versions of WoW is the fact that the early access is hidden behind the more expensive version. I hate that, because effectively what you're saying is poor people play later. And I fucking hate everything about that. If you want to do early access for pre-orders. That's fine. The industry has accepted that. Don't do early access for pre-orders, but also only if you're willing to pay more. I agree with that, Annalene. Like, literally 100% agree with you. Every pre-purchase should be able to get early access. I don't like the fact that it's hidden behind the more expensive ones. Might throw away my tower by an act of rage. Are we going to get the cinematic? Eddie, I don't think so. I'm still here. I'm still refreshing the page. Waiting for that fucking animatic to go, but I don't think we're getting that shit. We did get a WoW cost, so that was pretty cool. They showcased a lot of really cool things. That should be uploaded on the channel as soon as I end the stream. I'll quickly edit that. And I'll upload my reaction to the WoW cost. Been awake for 46 hours straight already. Wait, I've been awake for 46 hours? The fuck? When did that happen? No, I've been awake since 5 a.m. this morning. I went to the gym, had some coffee, made some videos. And then we've been live since like 1 o'clock this afternoon. So what, we're at 8 hours now. Feels that way after the 4-hour react. Dude, that react was brutal. It was a very interesting video, but it was fucking brutal. Vithalf, how you doing, brother? You started planning on how you're going to stream and create videos during the first few weeks of the expansion. Or Tango, so I don't really I don't stream WoW gameplay, so I will effectively I'll stream maybe day 1 and maybe day 2, but then I won't stream any more WoW. Because the way I play the game would be very sucky for people to watch. My first playthroughs are usually very long because I'm reading every single quest, I'm looking at every single thing, I'm looking for every bit of information I can get. And then I do an alt, and then I do another alt, and probably 3 or 4 more alts to get all of the story over and over again. So it's a big fucking process for me to play through for a new expansion. And I don't really want to be distracted during that period of time. So I'll probably play the first 2 days or so. So basically Wednesday and Thursday, I'll play the expansion launch, and then I'll stop. And then I'll play Elden Ring or some shit. I only stream 3 days a week on Twitch, so all the other days I'll be playing WoW and still making videos and stuff. I mean, I did it for every other expansion. So the only thing that's hard is now we enter pretty much the busiest time. Because the first few weeks of any expansion is fucking rough. It's like every day a new video talking about all sorts of shit coming out. And so that's going to be tough. But I'll make it. I'll make it. You going to watch Gamescom, Echo? I don't know. What's at Gamescom? Any good games coming, or? Kajim, well, you will see it in the first few days. And if it's something that you guys enjoy, so I want to be clear, I don't mind playing WoW if it's something that you guys want to see me play. I'll be happy to stream it. I don't really stream WoW in general, so please don't follow me over on Twitch if you think, oh, here we go, Akko's a WoW streamer. I'm really not. But if you want me to play up until max, I'll stream it. I don't mind, because I'm going to be playing it till max anyways. So I can take you all the way to max, but it will take a while. So Mask is a good game. Jason, I've heard it's a good game, but bro, I'm burnt out on survival games. Once Human fucked me. I can't do any more survival games for a while. I've been sort of toying with the idea of getting back into Baldur's Gate 3, but then also at the same time I want to play more Elden Ring. So I'm like, I don't know what the hell to do. I'm just, right now, I'm in that sort of weird lull phase again, where do I continue with Elden Ring? Do I switch back to Baldur's Gate 3 and finish that finally? We'll see. Blizzard could be saving extra cinematics for Gamescom. I doubt they would. Gamescom is after the launch, no? No, wait, when is Gamescom? Because launch is like next week, no? When is launch? Launch is the 24th or some shit. That's like that's not long. It's like 23rd? 24th? Yeah, so Gamescom what? Next week then? 21 to 25th. So it starts 2 days before the launch. Yeah, we can watch Gamescom. Omi, you are absolutely correct. I have still not finished Baldur's Gate 3. You know what I did do, though? I started a new playthrough with a monk. I've been monking it in Baldur's Gate 3 and having a time of my life punching the fuck out of things. My warlock is just sitting there waiting for me to finish the game. But maybe tomorrow on Twitch we'll finish. We'll play some Baldur's Gate 3 or we'll play Elden Ring. I don't know. I've not thought that far ahead yet. Dune is showing gameplay at Gamescom. Now that is a game that I'm looking forward to. Do we have anyone in chat that knows nothing about the Dune MMO? I know we have a bunch of WoW Andys here. Like my WoW family. How many of my WoW family knows nothing about the Dune MMO? No jack shit about it. What? I know nothing. Heard it was coming out. Looks pretty good. I know that it's being made, but don't remember much. Watch you react to those videos on stream. True. Not a WoW Andy, but what the fuck is the Dune MMO? Looks hot. I know it's a thing, but nothing else. So it's created by the team that made the Conan MMO. And they learned a bunch of lessons from it. But it looks really good. It looks really good. It's a survival MMO. I'll show you.
Arrakis is a test.
Lucy, how you doing?
Few survive it. Arrakis is a test. Few survive it. But the humans that do awaken.
I mean, it looks good. It looks really good. The one problem is usually with survival MMOs is that the grind is real in survival MMOs. So hopefully they figure out how to not make it too fucking grindy. Because, yeah, very often survival MMOs will be the ultimate grind. I play it for these months. Yeah, I'm definitely playing it. The question, the two biggest questions will be, number one, how grindy is it going to be? And then what is the monetization going to look like? If it is a buy-to-play game, great, right? If it comes with a sub, less great, because it feels like if you're going to make an MMO in the modern era with a sub, what are you competing against? You're competing against World of Warcraft and you're competing against Final Fantasy XIV. You're basically asking the entirety of the MMO community, which is basically split between WoW and Final Fantasy XIV, to also pay another sub. How many people will do that? More importantly, if you do put a sub to it, in my opinion, you almost instantly lose the Final Fantasy XIV and the WoW crowd, and here's why. No normal people have time for two MMOs. Let's be real, most of us don't even have time for the one fucking MMO. Now you're asking me to play two? I don't have time for that. So I either stop playing WoW and start playing this other MMO, or I just stick with WoW because I already fucking know the game and I don't have to waste money on the game because I already know it. So you're almost, in my opinion, just make it buy to play, sure, but don't put a sub to it, because I think WoW players would be interested in buying the game and trying it out, but very few is going to buy the game and then buy a month sub for two games. Why the fuck would I do this? Bob, how you doing, brother? Age of Conan, way back when, but it just couldn't compete with WoW back then. I don't know if any game, and that's not to say that WoW is unbeatable, even though I think WoW at its peak, I don't think there's a single game that can compete with World of Warcraft at its peak. If WoW is firing on all cylinders, it is just the ultimate game. Let's be fucking real about this. But the problem with any game trying to compete with WoW is you're not just competing with the game, like the actual game. You're not just competing with the dungeons or with the raids or with the gameplay. You're also competing with nostalgia. You're competing with the preconceptions that's been built because of 2 decades of gameplay. I played Final Fantasy XIV and I loved it. I loved the story. I learned how to adore Final Fantasy XIV for what it is. But I remember my first playthrough of Final Fantasy XIV, I hate it. Like, I remember leveling to about level 50 as I would in a WoW expansion, and I absolutely hated it. I hated the gameplay. It felt so super fucking slow. It felt like I wasn't doing anything. I was just running from town to town, talking to people. And that's nostalgia, right? That's when I play an MMO, and I hate to admit this, but when I'm playing an MMO, it needs to play exactly like WoW. Like, if the game isn't as smooth and as responsive as World of Warcraft, I don't want it. It fucking sucks. It blows ass. This is not a good game. And the problem is Blizzard, I mean, you can criticize Blizzard for a lot of things, but for gameplay, we spoke about this earlier, or late last week. The thing that makes World of Warcraft stand out head and shoulders above any other game is PvE and gameplay. There is no game that competes with World of Warcraft on those two things. No MMO, at least. They don't come close to how smooth and responsive it feels. I've played Elder Scrolls. It is nowhere close to World of Warcraft's gameplay. At least not for me, Brando. Not that it's bad. Don't get me wrong. I think Elder Scrolls has a phenomenal story, and it's kind of fun to fuck around in. But you want to talk about like actual smooth gameplay? I'll tell you what has always been my bother in Elden Ring. The hits don't feel impactful. Now, there can be a number of reasons for that. It could be sound effects that just doesn't work quite well. But one of the things that WoW has always done that's just, you take it for granted until you play a different game. When I'm on my warrior and I'm slapping someone with my fucking axe, I can feel it. I can feel I'm slapping this guy with my axe. Like, the feedback is phenomenal. The feedback is so fucking on point. The sound effects work so well. And I've not played an MMO that matches that. Elder Scrolls come close, but it's not, in my opinion, it doesn't come close to beating WoW. You can even expand and say no game and not be wrong about it. No, I think there are. So, for example, if you want to talk about pure gameplay, I would say Elden Ring blows the dick off of World of Warcraft from a pure gameplay perspective. But of course, now we are talking about fundamentally different games. You know, one is action combat and the other one is like fucking tap target combat, right? But if we stick to MMOs and specifically tap target combat, I haven't found a single fucking game that does what WoW does. Like, just, yeah, it's just, it feels good to play. You know, when you're charging into the boss and you fucking hit that boss with your axe, you feel that power. You feel like you're punching the boss. I agree with you, Doomed. Swatter came close, but didn't hit it exactly on the head. I wouldn't say Swatter came close. So what Swatter had, in my opinion, and this is a lot of games, it's not just Swatter. There's pretty much almost every game has this, or a lot of games actually. It feels floaty. And I think a lot of you are going to look at me and go, what the fuck do you mean? The movement feels floaty. Whereas in WoW, the movement doesn't feel... Fuck me, I don't know how to explain this. I don't know, I can only say floaty. Floaty is the best way that I can describe this, at least. I've never thought about it enough to, like, really put it into words. I would have to think about it a little bit more. But, like, in WoW, it feels like I am actually really moving through the world. Whereas in a lot of other games, it feels like I'm sort of moving on top of the world. I'm moving sort of just over the world. I'm not in the world. Yeah, Talis Raider, that's pretty on point. Britgle JU also, yeah, it's glidey. There's a glidey element to it that you don't really notice after a while. You get used to it and you move on. But at first, when you're playing it, you do go, ooh, feel a little, like, awkward in a way. White, yes. you're absolutely correct. In some games, it doesn't feel like your character has weight. It feels like your character is a feather, and it's just sort of moving through the world. Hitting the enemy, but the enemy nor you doesn't care about it. Just the little splatter. Van Augerton, yeah, that's what we call combat feedback. And you'll be surprised how many games doesn't do combat feedback well. Epic Thulu, no, it's not so much syncing. It's more... I think a large part of it is almost all games, almost all modern games at least, use motion capture, right? So all movement is motion capture. So what you get is very real movements in obviously not a real world. Because yes, these are real movements, a real human made these movements, but this is obviously not a real world. Whereas I know this firsthand because I spoke to one of the developers at Blizzard who told me this. Every single animation that you see in World of Warcraft, every single one of them, the dances, the running, the attacks, everything is handcrafted. So the way your orc runs that way because the developer sat there and physically fucking created every second of that frame. Like, what would the running animation look like for an orc? What would the running animation look like for a troll? What would the running animation look like for an undead? None of it is motion captured. The only thing in WoW that is motion captured is the high CGI cinematics. Everything else is made by an animator, which gives them a lot more freedom to make it fit to the world. Because obviously the animator will also keep in mind what is this world that I'm animating this in. Whereas the human body has limitations. There are some things that a fucking human body will just not do. And there's nothing you can do. That's just how it is. And you're motion capturing that. And you can make fixes to it, but it's not going to be anywhere near as good as the guy that literally animated it from the ground up. Ricochet, yeah. Yeah, pretty much that. It's like your feet doesn't actually touch the ground. It's more like your feet floats on the ground. And your character also has this sort of glidey feel to the... You know what it looks like? In a lot of MMOs, it doesn't feel like your character is moving in the world. It feels like the world is moving and your character is just standing still. So your character is in this one position and the world is simply sliding back and forth in relation to your character. That's what I think that's the best way that I can illustrate it. Yeah. That's how a lot of MMOs feel. Whereas WoW does absolutely not have that. In no way, shape, or form. Tend to feel more weightless, but I think that's intended to feel more like a dance. Western games tend to be weightier, like there's more meat on the bones. So Acolyte, I have no problem if that was a design decision. Like if your choice was, this is what you want the game to look like, then I would expect to see that in all facets of the game, and that's perfectly fine. But you can tell when that wasn't the point, but that's just how it worked out. You know, that's just how it played out, and there's not much you can do about it now. What an interesting tweet. Do you guys agree with this? The top one. Sorry, I just saw this tweet and I was like, wait, this is kind of interesting. Call that synchronization. Well, yeah, if that's what you mean by synchronization, I agree. So people on Twitter are so tired of them teaching their kid what sleeping their way means. No, I'm not talking about this one. I'm talking about this tweet. I didn't even read the fucking bottom one. So tell us, reader, what she's saying here is if you are dating in your 20s and you've been with this person for 3 years and they have not yet proposed to you, then you have to accept the fact that they're never going to propose to you and they're probably going to leave you. Love to tell others how to live, but are against any kind of critique themselves. Everyone can totally afford a ring in their 20s. Sounds like she just wants a free ride. Dominus, I don't think that's the point she's making, right? I think it depends on your philosophy on what you think dating is supposed to be. Like I'm not a huge fan of dating, and I'll explain to you why. I think everyone in this chat has been through a breakup before, right? I think everyone in this, like, ignore the fact that she said 20s. Just think about dating. Has everyone in chat been, you've been in love before and you've broken up before. You've experienced that fucking pain, right? That incredible heart-wrenching pain that comes with a breakup. I do not believe that humans were meant to experience that pain. I don't think that that pain is healthy for you, because I think that pain warps your view of the opposite sex in ways that if you go through it enough times, eventually you will start viewing the opposite sex or of the same sex, depending on your sexual orientation, but you will start viewing that person through the lens of that pain because you don't want to experience that pain. That pain is harsh. Now, I also think this is, again, it comes with what is your worldview? What is your philosophy on these things? So as a religious person myself, as a Christian, I don't believe in divorce. I don't believe that divorce is ever the answer to anything. And I think marriage is fucking hard and you have to make it work. That's the whole point, right? But that's me because I'm religious. If you're not religious, then you maybe don't have such a fundamental view of it. And you think, look, if two people just aren't working, divorce is for them. And I'm not going to sit here and judge you. You don't have my religion. You don't have to fucking have my beliefs, right? But I hold fast to the idea that God says, what I bind in heaven, no man can tear apart on earth. So I believe in that concept fundamentally. So from my perspective, I don't know exactly what the difference is between a relationship and marriage, except for the fact that one happens in a church and the other one just sort of develops, right? But the feelings, so if we're talking about the actual feelings, if you've been with someone for, say, a year, year and a half, do you think you love them more or less than what you do the person that you're married to? I would say you probably love them exactly the same, right? Especially if you're living together. Like if you're dating for a year and a half, but you don't live together, that's a different story. You probably don't know them well enough to really love them as deeply as you should. But if you've been living together, say, for a year, I don't think there's a difference between the love, which then makes the breakup even harder, right? And it creates all manner of problems. So I think from my perspective, I don't think of dating as a rehearsal, and I don't think you should be wasting too much time dating. I think once you've met someone that you go, look, I love this person, I want to be with this person, you get married. Like, what are you actually rehearsing? Why would you need to be together for 2 years or 3 years or 4 years before you ask? I was surprised at this. 2 Sundays ago, I was talking to one of the guys at church afterwards. We were having coffee, and he was talking about his wife, and the conversation happened upon him talking about they were dating for 2 weeks. 2 weeks when he asked her to marry him. Like, they were dating for 2 weeks when he asked her to marry him. They've been married now for like 19 years, I think. Very fucking happy. Like, both of them, awesome people, very happy married. Four kids, I think. No, 5 kids. No, 4 kids, yeah. 2 weeks. Like, within 2 weeks, he was like, yep, this is my wife. Bam, let's get married. And like he said, it was fucking hard, right? Because you find out a lot of things about your wife once you're married his words were, there's a lot of things you find out that deeply scars you. But here's at least their opinion on it. You know that in love feeling that you have? And the logic makes sense to me. You know that feeling like when you first meet, right? That first year, the puppy love, the incredible, that overarching, overwhelming love that you experience for another person that sort of goes away after a year. The logic is that period is when you're supposed to learn all of these sort of darker, deeper stuff about your partner, because it's offset by the love that you feel for this person. So yes, you're learning very deep, dark shit, but you love them so much, so it becomes easier to forgive and forget that shit. So that by the time you exit that honeymoon phase, you already know everything that there is to know about this person, and now you have a bond that is built completely on honesty and openness. Because they're not the only one. There's like a bunch of couples in the church that all got married within like the first 6 or 7 months of their of knowing each other. They've all been together for probably a decade plus. So I thought it was an interesting conversation, at least. The love you get after 3 to 5 years is much stronger. Yes, but that's obviously as you grow together. But there is an argument to be made for most relationships, I think, on average, ends after year 1. Means staying true to what you said you were going to do long after the mood you set it in has passed. That is true, Princeps. Yeah, but you're assuming everyone is mature and has good intentions. That's not real, Will Daco. Holy, I'm not assuming anything. Under my principle that I live by, you wouldn't get married or date when you're not ready for it. So there's no assumptions here. If you're not ready and not mature enough yet to get married, then you don't date. Because you're just tempting yourself with all nonsense that you don't need right now, right? Sounds like why people ignore red flags in their partners, that honeymoon phase that offsets everyone, telling you not to date them. Epic Thulu, if that was true, they wouldn't be married still, right? I'm more likely to break up quickly if I see something I can't really accept nowadays. Tolerance has got me nowhere. That's true. It's hard to build up and it's hard to keep. Also, it's always about working for it every day. Again, I'm not sitting here making a blanket statement rule for every human being out there, right? I'm not suggesting that all of you should now get married within 5 months of knowing your partner. That's not what I'm fucking saying. I'm saying what I believe, what I will do personally. And then also just saying, I think that might be where she's coming from a similar sort of thing. Like, you can't just be, challenge accepted. Zolvar, I take no fucking responsibility for your divorce in any way, shape, or form. I just want to say very clearly for the whole world to hear, I did not in any way, shape, or form tell Zolvar to get fucking married within 5 months. He did it by himself, of his own volition. I am not to blame for this, and if the courts are watching this, I will not pay anything. I had nothing to do with this. No money had exchanged hands at this point in time. Traxy, I was just fucking scrolling on Twitter and I saw this tweet that sort of interested me. That's how we got here. She's talking for everyone from her personal experience, and that is stupid, absolutist arguments, and always stupid. I mean, it's Twitter, bro. If you're not going to make stupid, absolute statements on Twitter, where the fuck are you going to make them? Yeah, that is true. Inside 2 weeks would seem creepy unless you felt the same way. Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, Lodi, who's the fucking one girl that you trust enough to date for 1 month and get married to? Please. It's gonna be some fucking actress, isn't it? There's gonna be some really hot, stupidly unrealistic chick. Doesn't matter, not gonna happen. Oh, so it's an actual real person that you know. I had someone like that years ago now. But I had someone like that. I know exactly what you're talking about, sir. I hear your opinion. I got my own beliefs in marriage also. Fact, I date to marry mindset. I'm too old for games. I had my fun. Yeah, that's great, you know. Yeah, I do think, holy, everyone has that one person that you knew back in the day and you just think, man, I would have married her. I would have married her. To be fair, now that I'm older, I'm glad I didn't. At the time, I was like, fucking hellbent. This is going to be the one. Now I look back at it and I go, that would have been such a big mistake. Like, that would have been such a fuck up. I'm glad I didn't go through with that. But at the time, definitely. My wife and I married after just under 2 years of dating. Our relationship would be no different today if we would have married after 2 weeks. She's the one, trust me, bro, it's the most painful disease known to man. Yep. I mean, how many times have you met a girl that you thought she's the one? Well, not just a girl, guy as well. For those of you that date guys, the girls and the guys in chat. You meet this person, you just think, yep, this is mine. This is my forever. And then about 2 months later, you're like, the fuck was I thinking? Like, why did I do this? When this was all smiling at the animatic, I knew she was the one. Hobo Apple, she will... Dude, Zaratath will snap your dick off. Like, what are you even talking about? I thought that. 0 times? Stumpy, no shot that it's 0 times. No shot. Sake of my life, I had this great girl interested in me and I was chasing some dumb shit. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had that too. I think I told you guys the story once. Of... Dude, arguably one of the most beautiful girls I have ever seen in my life, at least at the time. And I was out getting drunk, and she was there as well. We were out at this bar. This was while I was in college. And she asked me about 10 o'clock at night. She was like, can you take me home quickly? And I'm like, yeah, sure. No problem. You know, and we get in the car, go home. I drop her off at her home. I do the whole gentleman thing, walking her up to her flat, walk in, make sure she's safe. And she's like, would you like something to eat? And I'm like, no, I'm cool. He's like, no, it's no problem. I can cook us something. What would you like? I'm like, no, I'm not really hungry. I'm going to go back to the bar. I have some drinks waiting for me. And she's like, well, have you ever seen Gangs of New York? I'm like, what's that? And she's like, it's this movie. It's really good. You'd love it. Would you like to watch it with me? And I'm like, no, I'm cool. I want to go drink at the bar. Dude, I never even for a fucking second thought that we're flirting or anything like that. Not for a second. I thought she just wanted to watch a fucking movie. Like, I didn't know. I was like, nah, it's cool. No worries. I'm leaving. And then I just fucked off. I went to the bar. I got drunk as shit. And yeah, once I got to the bar, and my other friend, who is a girl, asked me, why did you take so long? I'm like, oh, she wanted to cook food and watch a movie. And I was like, no, I want to go drink. And she's like, bro, what the fuck? She wanted to fuck you. I'm like, wait, what? No way. She's like, yeah, no girl is going to ask you to watch a 3-hour fucking movie if she doesn't want you. I'm like, I did not know that. I thought she was just being nice. You're thinking you're clever? Not when it comes to girls, my friend. Not when it comes to girls. A girl could stand in front of me and flirt, and I would think, wow, what a nice chick. And this has actually happened to me. I remember being in a relationship, and then my girlfriend got angry at me because I was talking to some girl who was apparently clearly flirting with me. And I genuinely thought, wow, this is just a very nice chick. She's so friendly. I at no point did I even think for a second she was flirting with me. I was just, chatting, just having a good time. The story of Akko lost the one. I wouldn't say she's the one. She's actually the one that thinking about it now, I'm grateful that I didn't go through with it. You guys pick up on that shit, dude. I genuinely don't. I don't pay attention to flirting at all. I just usually think, well, they're really nice. Unless you're doing it very obviously, I won't notice. I can notice when people are doing it with other people. I can very quickly see, oh wait, she's flirting with this guy, but not when it's happening to me. I'm just sort of there having fun. Just kind of shut in. Oh shit, Proxy. This is not good. I just eat and watch the movie. You see, I wanted to go back to drinking, and eating is cheating. But at least that was my mindset back in the day. Eating is cheating. You don't eat while you're drinking. This is serious business. So yeah, when this girl was suggesting she's gonna cook me something, all I was thinking is, the fuck? I'm here to get drunk and now you want to give me food? No. Now's not the time for food. Now's the time for drinking. Let's go back to the bar. Let's party. I did get drunk. I had a fucking amazing night though. I got drunk off my head, especially after finding out that I didn't sleep with this girl that I really wanted to fucking sleep with. I had to drink. Marius, how you doing, bro? She did it obviously, your mate. Dude, not to me. Not to me. Now, if that happened now, I would know, right? Now I would know. I also feel like I was much more... No. This is not recent Sinful Ways. We're talking... I was 20 at the time.
I'm a rich bitch now.
Oh, shit. Ryan with the
Sorry
$10.
to change subject. Do you think Amethyst the Peacekeeper from Hearthstone will become a more accurate Titan somehow? Maybe she is related to the light, seeming she is the Paladin character.
Ooh, I have no idea, bro. As a rule, I don't look into Hearthstone characters because they're very rarely related to the lore, and Blizzard have said this multiple times. They don't share the same lore, they just share the same world. So I have no idea. But I would have to go look at it, because we know with the new WoW IP that Blizzard is trying to link the two together. So maybe maybe they can start doing that, but I genuinely have no idea. But no, so at the time though, I was let me get back to you, Ryan. Right? I don't just want to end like there. I'll look into it, I'll get back to you. I was only 20, first and foremost, and I wasn't the most, what do you call it, experienced at that time. I didn't have like my sort of, if you can call it this, super hunk phase started in college. And I always attribute this to me being a jock studying drama. I was surrounded by all the losers in school. No offense to all the people I studied with. Loved a lot of them. Not all, but a lot of them. But I was a jock in drama, like in drama class in university, surrounded by a bunch of losers. So I was the life of the party, right? Every single night we would drink at my place, go nuts, go out. So basically, I was friends with everyone, and everyone was friends with me, and everyone wanted to be friends with me because then they get invited to the parties and they get invited out. So I had a lot of girls in college interested in, more than just friends. But that wasn't really true for me, like, prior to college. So I knew nothing about the flirting game, really. So yeah, it was like, that, to me, she just seemed nice. She wanted to offer me food, and I didn't want to fucking have food. When I was younger, I had this guy that was really nice to me and even lent me his car, which he normally didn't do. Come to find out, he really liked me a lot. Patlin, I would say that is also a clear sign. Yes. If a guy lends you, he's like, look. This is going to be unpopular because a lot of people don't like to think about it this way. But if a guy makes time for you or inconveniences himself for you, he likes you. That's just a fucking fact. I don't know of a single guy that is going to go out of his way to help you and also inconvenience himself if he doesn't want to be with you. Just, there's no shot. Will not happen. Yeah, there's a reason I put the inconvenience. Like, being nice to your friend, yeah, fine, I'll be nice. If I have nothing else to do, I'm more than happy. But if I'm moving my life around to make space for you, that means I fucking like you, right? I'm moving shit around to time for you or to help you out. Yeah, that's because I like you. I'm not doing that just for my friends. Very true, though. I'll go out of my way for friends too. To see you on here this time. Obi-Wan, how you doing, brother? Either that or he feels guilty about something he did to that person. Yeah, but what the fuck could you possibly do to someone to make them feel guilty? Traxy, wait, did the stream die? But it's not dead on my end. No, on Twitch it's fine. It looks like it's not fine on YouTube. Oh, right. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck just happened there. Goblin says he's still here. Okay, so it's still good. Yeah, I wanted to say it looked fine on my end, but for some reason it was freaking out for some of you. I was having withdrawals. YouTube was okay. Glitch in the Matrix. All right, but boys, I really do have to go though. No cap. I have to be. I didn't even eat today. This is gonna be a fucking nightmare. I'm not gonna eat today, so I'm only gonna eat tomorrow. Shit. But no, I do have to go because I have to be up tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock for gym. But I will be back tomorrow on Twitch for those of you that want to come check it out. Links are in the description down below, so you can just follow me there. If you aren't already, 1 o'clock is the usual time that I go live, South African time that is. That's about 8 hours ago. So 8 hours earlier than what it is now is when I'll be live tomorrow. I really appreciate all of you for coming out, for hanging out with me, for watching the Wowcast with me. Remember, if you're on YouTube, you need to know this. If there is an animatic, there will be a special Barrens Chat episode. I won't be scheduling it, but just know that we'll go live at any given point in time on YouTube to watch special animations or special cinematics from Blizzard. So just keep an eye on the YouTube for that. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, for spending your time with me. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, be good to each other. Be kind to each other. And I will see all of you tomorrow. Peace.